My name is Emily, and I'm 34 years old. 4 years ago, I bought my dream home with the money I earned as a software developer for a tech company specializing in smart home automation. It's not every day a woman who taught herself coding in a cramped college apartment gets to own a 4-bedroom house in a quiet suburb, right? My job is fantastic. I built most of the software for our company's security systems, from motion sensors to high-definition cameras. I work from home, which means I'm in my cozy office most days, sipping coffee in sweatpants, coding like a wizard, and pulling in a solid paycheck. My boss loves my work, and I only need to swing by the office once or twice a month for meetings. Life was perfect. When I moved into my house, I installed our company's top-tier security system, cameras in every room around the exterior, and sensors that could detect a squirrel sneaking across the lawn. I even wrote custom software to monitor everything from my phone or laptop, no matter where I was. I never told anyone about the full extent of my setup. My family would probably think I was some kind of control freak. But it gave me peace of mind knowing my home was secure. My routine was simple and satisfying. Wake up at 7:30, brew coffee, code until 5, order takeout, and unwind with a good book or a TV show. Weekends were for errands, cleaning, and maybe a hike if I felt adventurous. No chaos, no complications, just me, my house, and my work. Then my older sister Laura called. She's 37 with 2 kids, Ethan, who's 10, and Liam, who's 8. Her husband Mark left her 3 years ago for a younger woman he met at a bar. He's been dodging child support ever since, leaving Laura to scrape by. I've been helping her out, covering part of her rent for a small apartment because, well, she's my sister and I couldn't let Ethan and Liam end up on the street. But when Laura called that day, her voice had a strange edge, like she was hiding something. "Emily, can we come over this weekend?" she asked. "The boys miss you and I could use a break." I smiled. I adored my nephews. They were bright, funny kids, even if they could be a bit wild. "Sure, I'd love to see them. I'll make tacos for lunch." "Great," she said, a little too quickly. "See you Saturday." When Saturday rolled around, I tidied the house, stocked the fridge, and even grabbed some of those gummy worms Ethan and Liam went crazy for. I was prepping in the kitchen when I heard Laura's beat-up sedan pull into my driveway. I stepped outside to greet them, but something felt wrong. Laura wasn't just unloading backpacks, she was hauling out massive suitcases, the kind you'd use for a cross-country move. Ethan and Liam ran up to hug me, their faces lit up with excitement. "Aunt Emily, we brought all our stuff," Liam said, pointing at the pile of bags and boxes. My heart sank. "All your stuff?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. Laura was already marching toward the front door, arms full of luggage. "Boys, grab those bags!" she called over her shoulder. I followed her inside, my pulse racing. The living room was quickly filling with boxes, as if Laura was staging a takeover. "Laura, what's going on? This looks like more than a weekend visit." She turned to me, her face set in that stubborn expression I remembered from childhood, the one she used when she was determined to get her way. "I gave up the apartment," she said flatly. "We're moving in with you. You've got all this space, 3 empty bedrooms. The boys need a stable home and I need help. You're home all day anyway, so you can watch them when I'm out." I blinked, stunned. "No way, Laura. You can't just decide to move in without asking me. I'll help you find a new place, but this is my house." Her eyes narrowed and she pulled out her phone. "Let's call Mom. She'll set you straight." Before I could protest, she dialed and handed me the phone. "Emily, what's this I hear about you refusing to help your sister?" My mother's voice came through, sharp and disappointed. "Mom, did you know Laura was planning to move into my house?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Of course, dear. We talked about it last week. Laura's struggling, and you've got that big house all to yourself. You should be happy to help your family." "But Mom, I never agreed to this. I need my space to work. I can't just take on 2 kids." "Emily Jane, I'm ashamed of you," she said. "Your sister's been through so much. Those boys need a home and you're being selfish." The guilt hit me hard. I glanced at Ethan and Liam, who were watching me with wide, uncertain eyes. I handed the phone back to Laura, feeling cornered. "Fine," I said through gritted teeth. "But we're setting ground rules." "Absolutely," Laura said, her smile too sweet. "We'll stay out of your way, I promise. It's just temporary until I get a better job and a new place." I should have known her promises were empty. At first, things weren't as bad as I'd feared. Laura actually seemed to try. She had a part-time job at a clothing store, so she'd leave in the morning, drop the boys at school, and pick them up in the afternoon. She'd cook dinner most nights, and the boys were respectful, keeping their noise to a minimum while I worked. Ethan would sometimes knock on my office door to ask for help with his science homework, and Liam would show me his latest drawings. It was kind of nice, honestly. I liked having them around, even if it disrupted my routine. Laura kept their room tidy, did their laundry, and even chipped in for groceries now and then. When my parents visited for dinner one Sunday, they were all smiles. "Emily, "You're such a good sister," my dad said, clapping me on the back. "This is working out so well." "The boys seem so happy here," my mom added, watching Ethan and Liam play board games in the living room. "They needed this," Laura beamed at me from across the table. "Emily's been a lifesaver. I don't know where we'd be without her." I forced a smile, feeling a flicker of hope. Maybe this could work, at least for a little while. Laura seemed motivated to find a better job. The boys were settling in and I could still get my work done. But that hope didn't last. About 6 weeks in, things started to change. Laura began staying out later, claiming she was working extra shifts for a possible promotion. "Emily, I might be up for assistant manager," she said one morning, grabbing her purse. "But it means longer hours. Can you pick up the boys from school?" "I have deadlines, Laura," I said, already dreading where this was going. "I can't just drop everything." "It's temporary," she pleaded. "Once I get this promotion, I'll hire a sitter." So I started picking up Ethan and Liam from school. It wasn't awful at first. I'd wrap up my coding by 2 o'clock, drive to their school, wait in the pickup line, and bring them home. They'd do their homework at the dining table while I tried to squeeze in a few more hours of work. But then Laura started coming home later and later, 8 p.m., then 9 p.m., then 10 p.m., always with some excuse about store inventory or training. She'd eat the dinner I'd made for the boys, leave her dishes in the sink, and disappear to her room. Weekends were even worse. Laura would vanish on Friday night muttering something about errands or catching up with friends and not return until Sunday afternoon. I was left entertaining 2 energetic boys who wanted to go to the park, the arcade, or the movies. My peaceful weekends of coding and relaxing were gone, replaced by the chaos of playing full-time aunt. I was exhausted, but I kept hoping Laura would follow through on her promise to get a better job and move out. Then one night, I decided to confront her. I waited in the living room, watching the clock tick past 10, then 11. Finally, at 1 a.m., I heard her car. She stumbled through the door, reeking of alcohol and cheap cologne. Her makeup was smudged and her hair was a mess. "Jesus, Laura," I said, standing up. "Where have you been?" She flinched, clearly not expecting me. "What are you doing up?" "Waiting for you. Are you actually working these late hours or are you out partying?" Her face hardened. "I'm allowed to have a life, Emily. I've been divorced for 3 years. I'm trying to move on. By lying to me? You're leaving your kids with me while you go out drinking and hooking up. Mind your own business," she snapped, brushing past me. "I don't owe you an explanation." She staggered upstairs, leaving me fuming. After that, things spiraled. Laura was barely home, and when she was hungover or distracted. I was doing everything. School runs, cooking, helping with homework, reading bedtime stories. Ethan and Liam started calling me Aunt Mom, which broke my heart. They needed their mother, but Laura was too busy chasing her new life. The final straw came one afternoon when I was deep in a coding project. A loud crash echoed from downstairs, followed by a scream. I bolted out of my office, my heart pounding. In the living room, Liam was clutching his leg, tears streaming down his face as blood soaked through his pants. My favorite ceramic lamp lay shattered on the floor. "What happened?" I asked, dropping to my knees beside him. "We were playing hide and seek," Ethan said, his voice trembling. Liam ran into the table, and the lamp fell on him. I lifted Liam's pant leg and saw a deep cut on his calf, bleeding heavily. "Okay, buddy, we're going to the hospital," I said, grabbing a towel to wrap his leg. I helped him to the car, with Ethan trailing behind, looking scared. The ER was a nightmare. Liam was in pain, Ethan was anxious, and I was stuck filling out forms while explaining I wasn't their legal guardian. "Where's their mother?" the nurse kept asking. "She's at work," I lied, my face burning. After hours of waiting, Liam got 6 stitches and a bandage. The doctor said he'd be fine, but I was drained. We got home around 7 p.m., and I made the boys some pasta to calm them down. Laura walked in at 8:30 earlier than usual. She saw Liam's bandage and froze. "What the hell happened to my son?" she demanded. I explained the accident, how I'd rushed him to the hospital, how it was just a freak mishap. But instead of gratitude, Laura turned on me. "This is your fault, Emily. You weren't watching them. My son got hurt because you were too busy with your stupid job." I stared at her, incredulous. "Laura, I was working upstairs. The boys were playing. It was an accident." "An accident?" she shouted. "You're supposed to be responsible for them. You let this happen. Are you serious? I've been raising your kids for months while you're out getting drunk every night. You're never here for them." That's when she slapped me, the sting sharp across my cheek. Ethan and Liam gasped from the couch, their eyes wide with fear. "Get out," I said, my voice low. "You're done here. Pack your things and leave by tomorrow." Laura laughed, cold and cruel. "You can't kick us out. Think about what that'll do to the boys. She was right, and it killed me." I looked at Ethan and Liam, huddled together, and my resolve wavered. "Fine," I said, "but this ends tomorrow." She smirked, and sauntered upstairs. The next morning, Laura came downstairs with a stack of papers and a smug look. "We need to talk," she said, waving the documents. "These are Liam's medical records from yesterday. I'm going to the police to report you for child abuse." My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" "I'll tell them you threw that lamp at Liam because you're tired of us living here," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "The boys will back me up. Kids are easy to coach when they're scared." I glanced at Ethan and Liam, who were listening from the hallway, their faces pale. "You'd lie to the police and traumatize your own kids just to get your way?" "I'll drop it if you let us stay and give me $50,000, she said, leaning back in her chair. "Your choice." I was shaking with rage, but outwardly I stayed calm. "I'm calling Mom and Dad. They need to hear this." "Go ahead," Laura said, unfazed. "They'll side with me like always." I called my parents and asked them to come over that evening to discuss Laura's situation. I didn't mention the blackmail yet. I had a plan. While waiting, I went to my office and accessed my security system's cloud storage. The living room camera had recorded Liam's accident. The boys running, Liam bumping the table, the lamp falling. It was unmistakably an accident. I also found multiple clips of Laura stumbling home drunk, slurring her words and reeking of cologne. I saved everything to a flash drive, my ace in the hole. My parents arrived at 6 p.m., already irritated. "Emily, what's this about?" my dad asked. "We had to cancel our dinner plans." "We're here to talk about Laura," I said, guiding them to the living room. Laura sat on the couch, looking confident, as if she'd already won. The boys were upstairs, out of earshot. "Laura's been blackmailing me," I began. "She's threatening to file a false police report, claiming I abused Liam, unless I give her $50,000 and let her stay here permanently." My mom gasped. "Emily, that's a terrible accusation." "She's lying," Laura cut in. "She hurt Liam, and now she's trying to make me look bad to cover it up." "She slapped me last night," I continued, ignoring her. "She's been leaving the boys with me while she goes out drinking and dating. I've been their mother for months." My dad shook his head. "Emily, you're blowing this out of proportion. Laura's just trying to rebuild her life." "Rebuild her life?" I said, my voice rising. "She's using me as a maid and a babysitter while she parties, and now she's blackmailing me." "Emily, be reasonable," my mom said. "Laura's been through a lot." "I'm not lying," I said, walking to my laptop, "and I can prove it." I plugged in the flash drive and played the video of Liam's accident. The footage was clear, the boys playing, the table wobbling, the lamp crashing. "This is what happened," I said. "An accident, not abuse." Then I played the clips of Laura coming home drunk, night after night, stumbling through the door, oblivious to her kids. My parents watched in stunned silence. Laura's face went pale. "Laura, how could you?" My mom whispered, tears in her eyes. "She's been lying to all of us," I said. "She's not working late. She's out drinking and leaving her kids with me. And now she's trying to extort me." My dad turned to Laura, his voice cold. "Is this true?" Laura stammered. I was just stressed. I needed a break. "A break?" I snapped. "You've been using me and neglecting your kids, and you thought you could scare me into paying you?" My mom stood up. "Laura, you're leaving this house tomorrow. We'll help you find a place, but you can't stay here." Laura's smugness crumbled. "You can't do this. I have nowhere to go." "You should have thought of that before you tried to blackmail your sister," my dad said. The next day, Laura packed her things and left with Ethan and Liam. My parents arranged for them to stay in a small apartment nearby, and my dad promised to keep an eye on Laura to ensure she stepped up as a mother. I felt a pang of guilt watching the boys leave. They were innocent in all this, but I knew they needed their mom, not me. I changed the locks and upgraded my security system just in case Laura got any more bright ideas. My parents apologized for taking her side, and we've been working on rebuilding our trust. As for Laura, she started going to therapy and, last I heard, got a full-time job. Ethan and Liam visit me sometimes, and I make sure they know I'm always here for them, just not as their live-in babysitter. My house is quiet again, my routine restored. But I keep those security videos saved, a reminder of the sister who tried to break me, and the evidence that saved me.